Okay guys, so we are back again in the garage today, and we're here to make some more progress on our engine swap project for our 1964 Corvair that sits behind me. So if you've been following along, you know that as of last time, I kind of got this whole engine here stripped down of all of its accessories and tins, and I got the oil all drained out of it and did a pretty thorough cleaning of all the pieces and parts that are left, and getting all the air fins all cleared out of all the mouse houses and debris and peanuts and all the jazz that was in all of those. So I think it's torn down about as far as I need to go, and it's about as clean as I think it needs to get. So the next thing I need to do at this point is pretty exciting. It's basically starting the process of reassembling this thing so I can get it back in a car and get it on the road. So today my goal is to get all of the seals, gaskets, and O-rings installed on all 6 sides of this bad boy. And so what I've got here is a nice engine seal kit that my good buddy Steve over at Morton's Classic Corvair put together for me. I just hit him up and told him where I was at, that I have got my engine's all tore down and cleaned up and ready to seal up. And he threw together this kit for me with everything I need and gave me some advice on how to install it all. And so just really appreciate his help and his expertise. If you guys are in need of some Corvair parts, I will leave a link in the description of how to get a hold of him and see if he can't help you out. So anyway, first thing we want to do today is start with getting the bell housing on, because I really want to get this thing off of this tough box and back onto my engine stand. And what's stopping me for that is having the bell housing put on. So that's going to start with a bell housing seal and then installing the bell housing to the block, and then we'll move on from there. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I've got my bell housing all cleaned up. All the mounting surfaces and mating surfaces are all cleaned up and ready to go. I've got my bell housing to block gasket ready to go, and my main seal ready to go. So what I'm going to do is just get these things mounted up here with some of this Permatex Right Stuff gasket maker, and see if I can't get these things mounted up. So I think I just want to get a little smear of this stuff around my surface. Open this up. All right. I'm just going to tap this thing into place. Clean this up. Beautiful. Looking good. Okay, so now that I got that all cleaned up and ready to go, she's installed. Looks good. Okay, now I think I'm ready to put my other gasket on, so we're going to just do a real small light smear around here just to get this to stick. There you go. That's how we do it. Okay, so I think that is looking pretty good. And I think that what I want to do is just let this stuff set up for a few minutes before I go ahead and get this thing put onto the block. So we'll let this set up for a bit and we'll be back. Okay, so I am ready to stick this bell housing on, and I did take a little bit of lithium grease and just kind of layered out the inside rubber section of this main seal, just so that when it goes around the crank, it has a better chance of sealing. So this thing should just kind of slip right on, and then we can get her bolted into place. So here we go. It goes into place, and the seal looks like it's good and straight all the way around, and a little bit of grease all around it. Looks really good. Okay, let me get the bolts. Okay. Get these all started. Now, the 5 bolts around the center of the crank can use washers, but because it's a manual, I think it's just manual, you can't use washers on the 4 lower bolts because they stick out too far and they'll interfere with the flywheel. We definitely don't want that. So the 4 on the bottom are not going to take washers. Okay, get these kind of sunk in with a ratchet. I'm just lightly sinking these. Until I barely feel anything pushing back. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. That step is done. We are installed, sealed, torqued, and ready to move to the next step. Beauty A, here it is. Beauty A. Okay, so now that we've got the bell housing on and the front main seal replaced and this bad boy set back onto the engine stand, I'm going to attack the rear main seal, which will entail popping out this old seal and getting this surface area and mounting area all cleaned up, and then I will stick the new rear main seal in. When I do, I'll go ahead and put some gasket cinch around the mating surfaces so that it sits in there nice and seals up. And then I will go ahead once again and I'll put some grease on the rubber surface as well so that it slips into place nice and helps seal. And then we'll reattach the pulley. So I think that's it. With that, let's get started. Okay, so now that we've got the front and rear main seals installed and the pulley back on, it's time for me to go ahead and start attacking the top engine cover, which is this guy here that houses the cooling fan. And so this is like a 4-part series here system where that you've got the top cover, a gasket, an inner baffle, another gasket, and then it goes down onto the block. So what I'll do here is I will put a thin layer of gasket maker on this mating surface just to get the gasket to set, and then I will put I'll do the same thing with the baffle, get another gasket put onto it, and then I'll put it dry onto the block. So, and then we'll be ready to screw it down and torque the bolts. So let me get started. Okay, so now that we got the top cover all put on and torqued down, the next thing I want to do is work on getting the oil filler and generator mount adapter mounted. This guy right here. And it's just going to sit right on here like that. So let me get it gooped up and I'll get the gasket put on it. We'll bolt it down and torque it down. Okay, so the next piece of this puzzle here is going to be the oil pan. And so I have the engine rotated upside down now and all of the mating surfaces all cleaned up and the oil pan all cleaned up. And so I'm going to just work on getting this oil pan gasket surface gooped up. I'll get the gasket affixed to it and then we'll flip it over and get it bolted down and torqued. Okay, so it looks like I've run into my first kind of major problem here on this project, which is really pretty surprising for as old as this engine is and kind of the way I came across it. But things happen and we just got to deal with it. So as I was torquing down the oil pan, everything went really smoothly except for these two bolt holes are stripped out at the block. So I tried switching different bolts and that didn't work. And I tried tape. I tried to do anything I could to get away from having to do a repair on it, but I just can't get them to sink down. So they will definitely leak. I'm just definitely not into that. So unfortunately, I think what I'm gonna have to do is do a helicoil style type repair on both of these holes. So I'm gonna have to now remove all these bolts again, take the pan off, and then do a drill, a thread insert repair on them so I can hopefully reuse the same bolts that are supposed to be used, but they'll have new threads to play with. So I will get started on that. Okay, so we have to cross our fingers and hope that this worked, but we got it all reassembled again, and my two bolt holes that were stripped in the block took a torque. You know, if I didn't know any better at this point, I would say that they worked. So we'll just kind of, you know, put some oil in it and hope she doesn't leak out. So that is how I tackle stripped holes in the block, and you know, it's worked in the past, and hopefully it works this time. So anyway, that's how we solve a problem. Moving on to the next. Now that I've got the top and bottom covers and the front and rears, I think the main things that are left here, I've got the oil cooler that needs to be O-ringed on, but I need to get a shroud on for that. And then I think the next thing I'm going to work on are these pushrod tubes. I've got to get all of the pushrod tubes out and get new O-rings on the ends of them, and check the pushrods themselves, make sure they're clean and clear and straight and pointed in the right direction, and then put new O-rings on them and get them reinstalled. And then, man, we are going to be pretty well sealed up at that point and ready to start putting tins and accessories on. So I think that's where we'll head next. Okay, so now that I've got the oil pan, the top cover, the front and rear main seals, the oil filter and generator assembly lid, all gasketed and sealed and installed, it's time to move on to really the last part of this major seal situation, which is the pushrod tube O-rings. So here's my game plan, is to get the pushrod tubes out and install new O-rings at each end of it, and there's also an O-ring that comes in a kit for the base of the rocker stud. So I'll take these off one at a time, these rockers off one at a time, keep them together, and then I'll have to remove two of them to get to the pushrod tubes, because they're held in by a retainer washer. So I'll get those out, and then get the push rods out, get the pushrod tubes pulled, inspect them, make sure that I can reuse the tubes and the push rods, and get them all cleaned up. And then I will get them reinstalled with new O-rings, get them all put back together again, re-torque down the studs, and get my my rockers put back on, and then move to the next ones, and do the same thing for all 12, and then we will have this engine completely sealed up and ready to move on to getting her put back together again. So that's my game plan. Let's get started. Okay guys, looks like we did it. We got all of the gaskets, seals, and the O-rings all installed on this engine, and it seems like everything went pretty smoothly, other than a couple of strip bolts on the block, which we took care of and didn't really seem to have any trouble with. So with any luck, we put this thing full of oil and it doesn't leak out on the driveway. So that's the goal, right? Anyway, had a lot of fun bringing you guys along. I think that next time we're going to be looking at putting engine tins all on, and the drive accessories, and man, after that I think we're going to be down to like the clutch assembly and the transmission mating, and we'll be about ready to throw this thing in the old 64 and see if she rolls down the road. So man, I am really getting excited. Really appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. I think that's going to do it for today. So anyway, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.